It's October 2020, and Jack Ma walks on stage in Shanghai to give one of his many speeches on innovation. He's relaxed, smiling, and confident, and he has all the reasons to be. He's the richest man in China and a global celebrity. His company, Alibaba, is China's version of Amazon, but bigger. In the West, they call him the Chinese Jeff Bezos, and in China, he's as close to a tech god as it gets. But that night, he makes a fatal mistake that will cost him half his fortune and his future. Instead of sticking to tech and innovations, his speech quickly turns into a public critique of the country's regulators and the state-owned banks. And his views will get him in trouble big time. He calls Chinese regulators outdated and publicly criticizes the country's state-controlled banking system. He isn't just criticizing policy, he is implicitly criticizing the Chinese Communist Party government. In other countries, that's considered free speech. In China, that's a line you never cross. We are just days before Ant Group's $37 billion IPO. This would make Ma even more powerful at a time when Beijing was already nervous about the growing influence of tech billionaires. So the government sees Ma's speech as a direct challenge to its authority. This is the turning point that would put in motion the fall of one of China's richest men. The IPO is cancelled. Jack Ma's personal fortune drops by tens of billions in a matter of hours, and then he completely disappears. Ma grew so successful that he thought he could fight the Chinese Communist Party, but to understand how he became so powerful, we need to take a quick step back to the early 2000s. Jack Ma is the poster boy for humble beginnings. He grew up in a modest family during a time when China was still finding its economic footing. His parents were traditional musicians, and money was always tight. Ma was far from being a prodigy. He failed his college entrance exams twice and only got into university on the third try. After graduation, he became an English teacher, making about $12 a month. He applied for 30 different jobs and got rejected from all of them. This even includes a job application at KFC. He tells a story where, out of 24 applicants, 23 got hired and he was the only one left out. So you get the point. Ma wasn't exactly on a fast track to becoming China's richest man. But what he lacked in credentials, he made up for in persistence and in an absolutely insane level of self-belief. In 1999, Ma started Alibaba from his apartment with a group of friends, some of whom didn't even know what the internet was. So Ma had to explain it using a marker and a whiteboard. At the time, China barely had any infrastructure for e-commerce. There were no payment processors, no reliable delivery systems, and most people didn't even trust online shopping. But Ma didn't care. He saw the web as a way to connect China's small businesses to the world. The early Alibaba site was as rough as you would expect, considering that it was built by people who were learning in real time about the internet. The site was basically a yellow pages directory for suppliers. It had no real UI, no database, and it crashed constantly, but it solved the problem. Chinese manufacturers needed access to buyers, and Jack gave it to them. Then, in 2003, Ma launched Taobao, a consumer marketplace built specifically to keep eBay out of China. eBay had just entered the market and was already crushing smaller local competitors. But Ma refused to sell out. Alibaba beat eBay by focusing on local sellers, not charging listing fees, and relentlessly building customer trust with tools like Alipay. Alipay was an escrow-based payment system that protected buyers and sellers. In other words, it was basically PayPal, but with way more control. That's when the business really took off. The company expanded into logistics, cloud computing, entertainment, and fintech. It became the operating system for China's digital economy. Alibaba wasn't just China's Amazon, it was the Chinese internet. By 2014, Alibaba's IPO on the New York Stock Exchange raised $25 billion. At the time, it was the biggest public offering in history. And the Chinese government loved it. Or at least, they tolerated it because Jack Ma played the game well and he kept Alibaba aligned with Beijing's priorities. He helped expand China's tech sector and he never stepped out of line. That was all about to change on October 24, 2020. After the speech in Shanghai, things unraveled quickly and very publicly. Ant Group's record-breaking IPO, which was set to become the largest public offering in history, is abruptly suspended by regulators just 48 hours before launch. Investors around the world were stunned. Months of hype disappeared overnight. Soon after, Alibaba is also hit. Chinese regulators charged the company with a $2.8 billion fine for antitrust violations, accusing it of abusing its market dominance to crush smaller sellers. Officially, it was about fair competition. Unofficially, it was a very clear warning from Beijing. Stay humble, stay quiet, and remember who's really in charge. But the biggest shock was that Jack Ma himself completely disappeared. A man who once couldn't go a week without making headlines just vanished from public life without a single word of explanation. For 3 months, there was complete radio silence from one of the most recognizable faces in China. And in a country where silence from the top is rarely accidental, people immediately understood what that meant. Speculation exploded. Talks about a possible detention, re-education, or him not being alive spread like wildfire. In the meantime, the Chinese government made no statements, and state media, which once celebrated Ma's entrepreneurial success, pretended like he never existed. Meanwhile, Alibaba's stock continued to slide, and confidence in Ant Group collapsed. Investors started to get nervous, realizing that Jack Ma, for all his wealth, fame, and global influence, was just one wrong speech away from losing everything. In China, business is allowed as long as it doesn't challenge the system. And in the eyes of the Communist Party, Jack Ma had crossed the line. He had become too big, too loud, and too independent. If there is one thing the party does not like, it is competition. 3 months later, Jack Ma reappears in a short video message to a group of rural teachers. He is thinner, he looks subdued, and more importantly, he praises China's leadership. There are no jokes and no bravado. The once confident billionaire is now a quiet, obedient citizen. The re-education process worked. But behind the scenes, things only got worse. He steps down from all leadership roles. Government-backed entities take control over parts of Ant Group, and Alibaba is forced to restructure. By the end of 2021, Jack Ma is no longer in charge of the empire he built. His fortune drops from $61 billion to $25 billion. Half his net worth is gone, all because of a 20-minute speech. Since then, Jack Ma has been spotted living quietly in various parts of the world. Sometimes he's painting or talking about sustainable agriculture. He is still alive and he is still rich, but he's no longer powerful. In China, success is allowed, but power is borrowed. And the moment you challenge the system, they take it all back. Jack Ma's story is a reminder that in China, no matter how rich or famous you are, the party always wins. If you like this story, check out one of these videos next. Until next time, thank you for watching.